Tactics for defense are of primary importance for coastal command. Mainly engaged in general reconnaissance, long periods are spent over the sea in operation as single units. Thus, the need for evasive action comes more often than the opportunity to attack. To evade the Hun, you must do all you can to make a shot like this impossible. A sitting target, needing no deflection, bags of time, and a happy Hun. Fortunately, we have an understudy for the Hun. Flying a Hurricane, he will film the attacking pilot's point of view. Fighter pilots will recognize the G-45 Cine camera gun and its field of view, on which is shown the fighter's gun sight graticule. Rear gunners will recognize the free gun graticule on those scenes which show the gunner's point of view. Crews should remember that they are evading fixed guns, which can fire only along the fore and aft line of the attacking fighter. The Hun, on the other hand, has to contend with your rear gunner, whose guns are free to cover the widest possible field of fire. From this, it is clear that when no evasive action is taken, the advantage is the Hun's. He has a greater firepower and a larger target. When attacked from astern, a straight flying aeroplane is virtually a stationary target, which becomes easier as the fighter closes range. If you turn when he attacks, it is seen that deflection has to be allowed by the Hun because of the time required for his bullets to cover the intervening space. The tighter the turn, the more difficult it is for the attacking aeroplane to allow the correct deflection. Therefore, a really tight turn provides a simple and effective means of evading a stern attack. When an evasive turn is made too soon, it is clear that the fighter will break off his attack. He will save his ammunition for another crack at you, and you will have lost the value of surprise. If you make your turn too late, you will obviously provide him with time for a useful burst before his deflection gets too difficult. Make the turn just as the Hun comes into range. Your rear gunner, who is giving the running commentary, can give the exact moment when to turn. Knowing that the ME-109, for example, has a wingspan of 30 feet, which will fill a quarter of his sight at 600 yards, he will give the prepare to turn to port or prepare to turn to starboard in plenty of time. Giving the signal go, he suddenly presents the Hun, who is now opening fire, with very difficult deflection. The rear gunner, meanwhile, held his fire. When he saw the fighter close in to 400 yards, he opened fire. When making these attacks, the Hun is usually first seen on your beam about a mile away and well above you. This would be the plan of his attack if no evasion were attempted. It would be worse than useless to turn away when attack is made like this. But by turning towards him, you compel him to tighten his turn to increase the amount of his deflection and to shorten his burst of fire. However, there is a snag in the tight turn as a method of evasion, because you're liable to find yourself flying around in circles and getting nowhere. Corkscrew evasion consists of a diving turn 30 degrees and 500 feet to port or starboard, followed by a climbing turn of 60 degrees for 500 feet in the opposite direction. The more violent this maneuver, the more effective the evasion. This evasion can be continued indefinitely and enables you to make good your track. Another advantage in this method of evasion is seen from the viewpoint of the Hun. During your dive, he needs to allow deflection in quite a different way from that required when you start to climb. He will find his constant change of deflection extremely difficult to make, especially when he comes in contact with your slipstream. Corkscrew evasion is of particular help against a number of fighters. For the rear gunner, corkscrew evasion produces, of course, a similar problem. Remember that your deflection also will change throughout. In a head-on attack, you should wait until the fighter is at 800 yards, and then, provided you have sufficient height, your best evasion is a diving turn through about 30 degrees. When already at sea level, diving won't be such a good idea, but here a turn is quite sufficient. When you are able to dive, the Hun will find that his angle of attack becomes steeper and steeper. Owing to the high closing speed, his deflection allowance will be enormous and his chance of hitting you extremely small. The Hun will, however, present a possible target to the rear gunner of a Hudson, whose turret can be swung around into a forward direction. Although a low-flying Hudson cannot be attacked from underneath, it should be remembered that when flying below 100 feet, a background of smooth water gives a valuable tracer effect to the enemy in directing his bursts of fire. During Dunkirk, 3 Hudsons shot down 11 Hun fighters without loss to themselves. This was the result of practice, good tactics, and teamwork. Crews should get together on the ground to work out their evasive plans in detail. Only by a clear-cut plan of action can a crew get these instead of these.